On your McMinnville trip, though, when you take the kids, I actually have passes for the Air Museum that I won during
Oh,
some of the raffles and stuff.
okay.
I'm never going to use them, and it's
Oh, yeah.
for multiple people.
Yeah.
So if you want some, I can get
Yeah.
those to you.
Yes, that would be
That way you have
awesome.
them.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Oh, are we ready? Okay. All right. Perfect. Hey, this is Jordan Hill, and welcome to the Dirt to Sky Business Podcast. I'd like to thank Compass Visuals and SMI Real Estate for sponsoring this episode. I am joined today by Matt Miller with Miller's Barbecue. How are you?
Good, Jordan. Thanks for having me today.
Of course. I'm so glad you're here. You are such a staple in our community, and everybody needs to know who you are if they don't already.
No, I appreciate that. I hear people say that all the time, and I'm like, I don't understand why. I just know I love Salem. I love my community. I love serving, and
Yeah.
it's just I dove right into it. And so,
Yeah, I love it. I feel like I see you everywhere, and you do so many things. And but that just really speaks to you and your humility and your willingness to just support the community. So yeah,
yeah,
so
I
thank
was
you for
at
that.
an event this morning, and Valerie Gear over at YMCA said the same thing. I showed up, and she said, "Of course you're here. You're everywhere." And it's like, well, I just try to be where I can be a voice, and so
Right.
it was fun to do that this morning.
Yeah. So I'd love to hear more about your journey leading up to Miller's Barbecue and how when you opened it and how long you've had it and the story behind that.
Yeah, so we'll officially be 3 years on the 20th of this month.
Oh, wow.
So we're about to celebrate our
Congratulations.
big anniversary.
Yeah.
I feel like every year we're open is a big anniversary. But how we got the start, which is really crazy, I was working in a machine shop as a supervisor doing material handling, logistics, inventory, shipping, receiving. I had 16 employees that I managed, and we managed $5.5 million in product that shipped to Lamb Electronics in Tualatin.
Oh, wow.
And so it was a big operation for a small machine shop. And during COVID, the company was bought out. There was restructuring that happened, and they laid off 13 supervisors. And the Monday that I got my notice that, hey, thanks for all your hard work, thanks for what you did, we appreciate it, here's your severance. The Friday before at my church, I catered an event for 532 guys.
Oh, my gosh.
We had Justin Martin from Duck Dynasty as our guest speaker. I had to cook briskets for everybody, and I'd never cooked volume like that. That was my first time ever. And so I said, sure, let's go for it. I can make it happen. And originally I was going to borrow 11 smokers to pull it together.
Oh, my.
And I was searching Facebook Marketplace, and I found this cool old offset smoker, and I could fit 20 briskets on it. And it was perfect. And
Yeah.
so that started my journey, not knowing I was going to start a business, but started my journey on wanting to bulk cook smoked meats. And the following Monday, like I said, I lost my job. So now here I am sitting, what am I going to do? What work do I want to do? I start kind of Google searching. I'm paid till the end of May, so I'm no rush. Like I don't have to do it. And this is March of 22. And I had a friend of mine that was at the event said, your food is so good. You're great at what you do. You should start a business. And I'm like, I don't know. Let me pray about it. And so I took a week and I just prayed about it. And I woke up on a Saturday morning just really heavy on my chest. And the thought in my mind was, look into it, look into it, look into it. And I know we've talked a little bit, you and I, of my faith journey. And so I really strongly believed it was God pushing me, prompting me, really look into the idea of starting a business.
Yeah.
And so I start researching. It's 5:30 in the morning, and I could be sleeping in at that point. I had nothing to do. And so I'm researching. By 8:30 in the morning, I was excited. I was like, I could do it. I could make this
Wow.
happen.
Yeah.
And so it was that March I started going to some networking groups. I started looking at business cards and getting involved. And then by April 20th, I finalized all the paperwork to register Miller's Barbecue as a business.
Wow.
And so we started.
And here we are
And
3
here
years.
we are 3 years later.
Wow, that is absolutely amazing. Everybody listening to this podcast, which are mostly business owners, but also executives, managers, leaders, are going to listen to this, and many are going to be restaurant owners, but truly any small business has such a high failure rate, which is the
Yes.
point of this podcast. So by listening to you, who has successfully made it 3 years and just thriving and growing and still having the bandwidth to give back to the community, you have a lot of wisdom to share. So I'm
Well, and
excited to hear it.
it's been a struggle. This winter for sure has been the hardest for
Yeah.
us. Because again, I love my community so much, so I give so much. And one of the things I'm having to really learn is the balance of when to give and when not to give. My heart is so big that I'll give the shirt off of my back if somebody needs it or wants it. I'll wear, this is funny, Jackie Ellerbrock from Salem Chamber, when I first started, I kept wearing the same pair of shoes over and over, and I blew a hole in my shoe, but I gave so much of my money away to other people that I couldn't even buy a pair of shoes, and she went and bought me a pair of shoes. And I realized I started to do that again this winter, and I'm like, no, I have a little bit of money, I can buy my own shoes. But I have to learn that balance. And so I'm learning to say no, which has been a hard concept for me as being somebody who wants to say yes, who wants to be like, yeah, I can serve, I can give at this, or I can donate this because that's my heart. But the biggest thing that a lot of entrepreneurs who have the same heart I do fail at is saying no. And being
Right.
able to understand that it's okay to say no, and they're not going to be angry at you. They're not going to be upset. They're going to actually understand that, okay, there's a limit at what they can do. They have capacity for so much.
Right. Was it a moment where you realized this, the light bulb went on and you realized that you needed to pull back on that? Or was somebody influential in your life that kind of told you what they were seeing and speaking that into your life?
Yeah, a little of both,
did you-
actually.
Yeah.
So this winter's, like I said, has been the hardest. Some of that on the personal side with a lot of life change that's happened in my life. Now being single and having to navigate those emotions and those feelings, and being an entrepreneur, you can't just shut down and not keep going. But I did for a little bit, and I started to see some of the effects of that. And I had one of my employees, one of my managers actually come into my office, and she said, Matt, we need you in order to keep our jobs. We need you to get back out there into the community, to get back out there serving, so we have a job. Because
Yeah.
I am the face, I'm the one who books the jobs and brings those jobs in and keep people interested in the business. And I was so focused on my own hurts and pains and heartaches that I lost sight of growing the business still. And we're still growing and still have to grow. And so it became easy to be distracted in that. But I also had a mentor of mine after a couple of weeks, and he just saw me slipping and slipping and slipping, and he sat me down. He said, Matt, your community needs you.
Uh-huh.
We
Wow.
need you back.
Yeah.
And not to the full capacity that I was, because he said that'll be a detriment to your business to continue to do what you're doing, but you need to come back because they need to see you again.
Wow.
And so it's kind of a both. It was me starting to see what was going on in the business and how it was starting to suffer because of it, but also outside perspective with my friends saying, hey, this is what I'm noticing, but
Right.
you need to get back out there.
What advice would you give somebody who might be in that spot and doesn't realize it? Somebody that is juggling so much and giving so much of themselves, but their business might be suffering for that. What advice would you give somebody that is listening to this right now and realizing this might be me?
Yeah, it's hard to realize it on your own. One of the things that I would say constantly people should do, and it's again taking my own advice, is find a mentor who is either in the same industry or a very similar industry as you, no matter if it's real estate or it's journalism or it's restaurant. Somebody who's doing something similar that is successful at it, that is doing it really well, and you're like, I want to be like their business one day, or I want to surpass their business one day. I saw on a podcast not too long ago, Gabe Johannesson was on, And he's one of those big icons in the community. Everybody knows Gabe, but I can guarantee you there's somebody out there that says, I want to be better than Gabe's business. I want my business to surpass that. And it's their drive, that's their goal. And so find somebody that you respect, somebody that you trust, and say, hey, would you look at this with me? And so I actually reached out to Louis Ricewick at AJ's Hideaway Bar and Grill. They went all the way through COVID, and they're thriving. They're doing a great job. And I reached out to Louis, and I said, Louis, I need some advice from somebody who's in the industry, who has a business that's doing really well. Would you sit down with me, look at what I'm doing, and help me gauge where I could do things better? And then maybe things that I'm doing really well that I could do even better. My dad growing up, even though rough background as a childhood, or in
Yeah.
my childhood,
Right.
he had a quote, and it was good, better, best. Never let it rest until your good is better and your better is best. And I always took that as no matter what I'm doing, even if I think I'm doing it the best I could do it, could I do it better?
Yeah.
And so you're always looking at how can I make this more efficient, or how could I grow this bigger, or how could I serve it better?
Right. And you are just coming out of that winter, both a actual winter and kind of a winter season in your life where there was a lot you were letting go of and a lot of new changes. So what advice would you give somebody who is in that season that might not feel like they have the capacity to do better?
Yeah.
Is that the case, or is there something that they can do to do a good job of carrying their business through, to also make sure that they're in a good mental space,
Yeah.
but still find that growth as far as making themselves better?
I'm glad you asked
You
that.
know?
Yeah. What advice I would give is it's okay to slow down. It's okay in the winter season. So in faith-based, we call it being in the valley. It's okay to take a step back and evaluate.
Yeah.
Where are the areas that are really extremely difficult right now that maybe I need to put a little time there?
Right.
And the areas that are doing really well, I could take a little time off from pushing that more, so I have a little more time and energy. One,
Yeah.
I'm learning more about self-care and having to really focus on my own self-care, which helps my business.
Yeah.
And before I was like,
Yeah.
who cares about self-care? I got to grow this thing. I got to put all my time and energy and
Right.
money, resources, everything goes into this.
Yeah.
But you start to take away from yourself, and you start to degrade, you start to fall apart, you start to get tired.
Right.
And so you have to find a little bit of a balance. And for some people, maybe the balance is a 50-50. Maybe for some people, more like me, it's 30% self-care, 70% business, and that's okay.
Right.
It's different for every single person, but realizing that it is okay, what I'm learning, to say no, to take that step back and be comfortable with that.
Right.
Find that that is making you better, so you can make this better.
Right. Yeah. That's great. It feels counterintuitive to a high achiever
Yes.
to say no or to slow down. It feels backwards,
Yep.
but it's not.
No, it's
you know?
not.
Right.
Because when you, again, take those moments, you recharge, you rejuvenate,
Yes.
so you can keep pushing forward.
That's right. Something that I really love about you and the culture you've built and your restaurant is that it's more than just a restaurant that you order your food, you receive your food, you eat it.
Yeah.
Obviously, your food is phenomenal, but there's some other things that you've done to make it truly an experience.
Yes.
I'd love to hear more about that and how that came about.
Yeah. So, summer of 23, we started really growing. I opened up my first food truck. My opening weekend was my birthday, so it's coming up on 2 years ago, beginning of May. And as I started growing with the food truck and catering, I realized I can't keep driving to Independence to rent a kitchen and hauling everything back and forth. It's just too much. I need my own space. And so I just started looking for kitchen space. It didn't have to be anything special, even just a room that I could have all the cooking equipment and maybe run like a ghost kitchen out of for Uber Eats. Cool, that's fine. I wasn't looking for a full restaurant. And a friend of mine, he runs the facilities management for Capital City Business Center, which is where the DHS office is in Northeast Salem. And he said, Sassy Onion's planning to leave this space. They're consolidating down, but we have to have food for the state workers in the building. You should come here and open up a restaurant. And I, again, back to prayer, back to thinking about it. And it was one of those decisions that I really felt, okay, this is what I'm supposed to do. And so I reached out, I got all the information from the building owners, and I went headfirst into opening a full restaurant. And one of the requirements was it had to be breakfast and lunch, and they had to have coffee for the state workers. So our requirement was 7 to 3. We could do more hours if we wanted to, but we had to at least have those hours. So I'm like, cool, I'm a barbecue restaurant, gonna do breakfast. This is gonna be interesting, but let's make it work. And so I went in, again, all in. Let's figure it out. And so we came up with menu items where we could really incorporate the barbecue, but still have some traditional breakfast. And as I first opened up, our soft opening weekend, we had 110 people showed up on the first day.
That's
and
amazing.
I'm just like, I was not ready for that. It's supposed to be a soft opening, but a ton of people came. There were 3 of us to run the whole thing.
Oh my gosh.
We had 2-hour wait times. I mean, it was brutal.
What a day.
And I quickly realized, okay, I'm reorganizing the entire kitchen. I rearranged it that night. I didn't sleep. I tore everything apart, rearranged the entire kitchen, did a whole bunch of prep. The next day we had another 89 people show up, and we had 15-minute wait time.
Wow. So
And
you
so
really streamlined
I
it.
found a way to make it more efficient very quickly for 3 people to run the restaurant. When I first opened the restaurant, we had just tables and chairs. It was very institutional looking. The building was built in the 70s. It still has the old popcorn yellow tiles in there. Lighting was very dim. And I was like, there's got to be a way to make this better. And I start really thinking about what I would want to have as a restaurant. And I want families to feel comfortable. I also want foster families to feel comfortable. And so I said, let's make a living room. Let's make our community corner or a comfy corner, cozy corner. I don't remember what we call it, but let's do something over here that makes it just comfortable. And then we'll have restaurant tables on the side. And so an employee of mine's dad was going to sell a bunch of furniture, and I made a deal with him for a big gift card from the restaurant, which he used for catering down the road. But he traded me a gift card for all this furniture he was going to sell. And so we got couches in there. We got some coffee tables, a bookcase to hold games. Liberty House actually donated a bunch of games and toys to it. And so eventually we created a living room in the restaurant. And then I brought in some dining room tables to get rid of the restaurant seating. Now we have family-style dining room tables. And we created this environment that is family friendly. People can take their kids. I have one customer who comes all the time, very regular, and she only comes because she has little kids who get too distracted sitting in a restaurant, not able to manage their bodies. They can go play toys. They can pull out the games. They can play tic-tac-toe at a table. We can turn on a Disney movie and they can sit on the couch and watch a movie, and mom and dad can still have a conversation, or mom and grandma can talk. Whoever is there, and they have adult time while the kids have something to entertain themselves. So we created a family space as a restaurant, bringing that experience of like you're at home, but you're not. You get to be out.
Right. I think that's, you realize something early on, which is, and you said it, how it makes people feel when they walk in, because you're in a saturated market. I am too, so I get that. We have to, and it's so true. I mean, yes, you're known for good food and friendly service, and I want to touch on those more, but yours stands out because people feel something when they walk in. They feel at home and they feel comfortable, and I think that's something that is missing in so many in any industry, actually, so many businesses.
A lot of restaurants in town, you walk into it and it's busy, which is great. I love walking into a busy restaurant because people are supporting them.
Yeah.
And it's great to see. So like today I walked over to Azul's, had some tacos for lunch, and all the thespians are in town right now for the high school theater kids, and they were just busy and slammed, and I just loved it for him.
Uh-huh.
But you have that hustle and bustle. There's no quality time of people just sitting and talking and gathering, and it's in an environment that again feels like home, where that's where most families at the end of their workday they go home to have that family time.
Yeah.
And now
Yeah.
this is another opportunity. They don't have to just go home to do it, they can be out.
Right.
And so I love that. And what it's grown into is DHS saw our space, and they said, can the kids come down here and have visitations with their parents? I said, yes, I'd love that. For those of you who are listening who don't know, I graduated the foster system. And so I remember having visitations with my parents, and it was two-way mirror rooms. And it was
Wow.
cold, callous, people are watching you. It's different at the restaurant. They get to
Yeah.
come down with their parents, and again, it's a living room. They can play games, they can play with toys. The caseworker's sitting at a table clear across the room because they don't have to be right on the other side of the glass watching. And it's comfortable, it's warm, it's inviting. And the community actually got behind it, and we built a pay it forward wall where they can donate drinks and food, and now the families don't have to pay for meals when they come in.
Uh-huh.
So they can share
Tell
a
us
meal
a little
together.
more about the pay it forward wall.
Yeah, so we do a punch card system at the restaurant, and so for every 10 drinks, you get an 11th one free. A lot of our DHS workers have started saying, here, put this on the pay it forward wall. So they'll buy their 10 drinks throughout the week, and then here, put this on the pay it forward wall. Or 10 meals, we do the same thing. 10 meals, get an 11th one free. They'll fill it up, and then here, put this on the wall. We had Fernando from Aero Home Heating and Cooling. He said, I want to buy 6 Thanksgiving meals for families that might need it. And so people will do that as well. We got a gift card hanging on the wall right now for $15 that somebody said, here, put this towards a meal or put this towards drinks. And so we get to do that. And it's
Yeah.
just sitting on the side of the fridge right by the register. And it's not just for the foster kids or the foster families. Anybody who needs to use one can use it.
Wow.
So we had a lady come in 3 o'clock. We closed during the week, and she came right at time. And she said, I waited till the very end of you being open because I'm so embarrassed, but is there any way I can get one of those meals? And I'm like, yes, of course, that's what
Yeah,
it's here
that's
for.
what
We
it's
want
for.
to serve.
Yeah.
And so we're able to pay that forward
Uh-huh.
because of customers' generosity who are saying, I don't need it, I want to support you, use it for somebody who can't.
Yeah. I think that's amazing.
So it's been
Yeah.
fun, and I kind of it was inspired by that with Figaro's and Kaiser. They have a pay it forward wall. Anybody can come in, sponsor however many pizzas. So I've done that a few times where Miller's Barbecue will say, hey, we want to buy 10 pizzas, put it on your wall.
Yeah.
And then when somebody needs a pizza, it's already paid for, it's ready to go, and they just take it off the wall and turn it in.
Yeah.
And so I said, now that I have a restaurant, I want to do that. I want to be a part of that system.
That's so special.
It's so fun.
I love it. Yeah. Now, as part of the customer experience, tell me a little bit about your staff customer service.
Yeah.
Because I know about your customer service, but tell us more about what you require and what you do.
Yeah, so my mission statement, I go into the schools and talk to the kids about being an entrepreneur and running a restaurant and what it looks like. But I always go over my mission statement, and the first 3 words in my mission statement is to serve others. And then there's a period. There's no to serve others good food or to serve others blah, blah, blah. It's period. Our whole mission is to serve others, and that's a period. And then we carry out the rest of the mission with kind and friendly service, having patience and understanding that everyone has a story. So whether it's a good day or a bad day that you're having, whether a customer walks in, it's a good day or a bad day that they're having, everyone has a story. And we all have something going on. And so I'm always constantly talking with my employees. We have some of my employees are going through some really devastating things right now. And it's hard. And so what's again neat about what I get to do is I love to hear stories. I love to hear what's going on, but I love to walk the journey with them. And my employees are picking up on that. And they're starting to ask customers questions. They're
Oh,
starting
wow.
to interact in their lives, especially those who we're seeing on a regular basis. Hey, how's your son doing? Hey, how is your daughter's school going? And it's been really neat to watch how I interact with them and
Yes.
how they're starting to pick up and do that with our customers.
Right.
And then the cafe manager I hired for front of house, Beth, is just amazing with her positivity and her energy and her excitement for life. And then one of our other baristas we hired from the Garden Services program. And she's got a disability, and she may not be the fastest, she may not be the best at it, but she will smile anyone under the table.
That is so
She is
sweet.
such a happy, positive person. And even if she makes a mistake, she's got the biggest smile on her face, and she apologizes, says, I'm so sorry. Let me fix that for you. And she goes above and beyond. Before this, we were talking a little bit about the unreasonable hospitality.
Yes.
And I still haven't read the book. I have it sitting on my desk. But no matter what, we go above and beyond to fix or correct or change, if we're able to, whatever the situation is. And if we can't, we don't, but we do the best we can.
Yeah.
One example of that, I was serving an event at the cafe. They were doing a trivia day. We opened on a Saturday for them to come in. And one lady came back and she said, I can't eat this. The pulled pork's raw.
Oh.
And I had to kind of, in my mind, I looked at her and I said, pulled pork can't ever be raw. It has to be fully cooked and rendered in order to pull it apart. But she saw the pink smoke ring from smoking the meat as long as we do and thought it was raw. And so instead of
Got
arguing
it.
with her, I said, hey, how can I fix this for you? And she said, can you just make me a ham and Swiss sandwich? I'll take that. And I said, sure, we can do that for you.
Yeah.
And so for us to not be argumentative, but find a solution to appease what she's really looking for. And that's okay. Maybe
Right.
we don't make as much money on that one order because there was a mistake or what she was anticipating on getting. We still go above and we still fix it to appease the customer and to keep that customer service. And so it's just that unreasonable hospitality, going above and beyond no matter what.
Yeah, yeah. And it's such a great book. I've read it, and you're going to love it when you read it because you're in the restaurant industry,
Yeah.
but you truly already do that. You go above and beyond in that extra step, and that is hard to find, and people feel it.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Now, you are such a community connector. You bring people together, you give a lot, you're involved in nonprofits. How do you juggle all of those things with your business?
Yeah, it's challenging at times. I actually find every once in a while I overbook myself, but that's where the learning to say no is starting to come into play. But it's really, I have a calendar. I'm old school. A lot of people laugh at me for it. I don't do the calendar on the phone because I don't look at it. I'll forget.
Right. Yeah.
But I carry around a big hefty calendar. It's in my car right now, and I write everything down. What appointments do I have that are personal? What appointments are business? What's a catering? What's a nonprofit board meeting? And so I write it all out, and I plan my weeks every week. So on Sunday this year, I started to try to take most of my Sundays off, giving myself a day, not only to rest and recuperate and relax, but also to then plan my week, to say, okay, what steps do I have to take? What meat am I going to have to cook? What jobs do I have this week that I need to really focus on? And what things can I let my team do? And really plan it all out. And then that way I know what am I juggling, and then what can I set down for the week.
Right.
Some weeks I have to pick up this ball and I can set another one down. But I'm always juggling something, but it's not always the same thing. And so I'm on 4 nonprofit boards, and a lot of people are like, how can you do so many boards? But each one's different. Each one requires a little different energy. Some of them require a little more work, and some of them are a little more hands-off.
Yeah.
And so it's easier to manage when you really know the expectations of the service projects you're doing or of the organizations you're a part of. And so I just picked and choose what really fit well with me, what fit with my mission and passions, and then how I could manage those.
Yeah.
And every once in a while, there's misses. That happens.
Right.
And having to take that intentional knowledge and knowing it's okay to have a miss and
Yeah.
not beat yourself up for it, because everybody has misses from time to time.
Mm-hmm.
And so realizing that it's okay to say, Matthew, I'm sorry I missed that. Let's see what we can do to fix it, or let's move forward and do better.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Baron just tried to call me, so you'll have to edit this out, but he's probably here. Should I call him right now or hand you the phone to help him, or? Okay. So he's in my mess. Oh, okay.
Cool.
All right. He's probably trying to get in here. You can just call him. All right. Cool. We got like 5 minutes.
Love it.
All right. Let me think of can you think of a good thing you want to talk about that we haven't talked about? And I can ask a question about it because they'll just edit it out.
Yeah. I guess you could talk about, because we're just now talking about community and juggling.
Yeah.
Talk about like my foster family Christmas events.
Okay.
Talking about things that we do where we are giving back that are special to me.
Okay. All right. So in the community, I mean, you do so much, but there's something that you do for foster families every Christmas that I've seen. Talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah. So 2 years ago, I had this passion. We opened this restaurant. We're in the DHS office. I guess it wouldn't be 2 years ago. It's 2 Christmases ago. And I said, I want to do a Christmas party for the foster families that not just isolates, hey, this is an event just for foster kids, because we have a lot of those in our community where they give back to just the kids who are in the system or just the kids who are going through this. I want to, again, I'm all about family and inclusivity. Bring the family together to do an event together.
Oh,
And so whether it's the foster kid or a bio kid in the home, to try to create some unity and structure in that home, we want to do a foster family Christmas event for the whole family. So the first year I did it at the restaurant. DHS said, hey, I love this idea. How can we help? And I said, you got this big conference room across the hall. Can I use it? And they said, sure, let's go for it. And so the community came around. We did a big toy drive. I brought a bunch of vendors in, a bunch of nonprofits in to talk about what they do to help the foster community. And we were able to serve almost 400 kids
wow.
a family
my gosh.
Christmas.
Yeah.
And so we had sugar cookie decorating, hot cocoa bar, Becca Makes Buttons was there, Rose City balloons. We had all kinds of stuff. It was super cool. And so the following year, the district director of DHS, they awarded us a certificate of appreciation for that event, which I thought was kind of funny, but I was like, cool, thanks. I just wanted to serve. But she came and she said, would you be willing to open it up tri-county? So this last Christmas, it was Marion, Polk, and Yamhill County.
Oh my gosh.
And so the biggest challenge we ran into this year, we only ended up serving 90 families, so it was about 140 kids. So a big drop from what I was anticipating. And what we realized is with the weekend we chose, I rented the Armory, made this big setup. We had a bounce house. Backwest Lobby Group donated for us to use. State Farm donated their big chair for the kids to sit on the blow-up chair. Becca Makes Buttons was there again because that was a huge hit. Photos with Santa and Mrs. Claus. We had a photo booth. So all kinds of activities. But it was the weekend right before Christmas. So it was 2 days before Christmas.
Right.
And what was hard is a lot of people are gone, or they're traveling, or they take some vacation for the holiday. So that became a miss on my part. I made that mistake. And so this year, we're going to move it back one weekend or move it forward one weekend in December. So there's a week and a half before Christmas. Still do it over a weekend. But I also now connected with the district champion for DHS to help get the word out and help spread the word about this foster event, that it is my goal, going to be one of the biggest foster events in our state, to bring families together for the holiday. And so this last year we had 1,000 toys donated, Convention Center became a huge donor. A couple other nonprofits jumped on board. And so I met a guy actually last night. He said, this is my heart and passion, is to create the biggest foster event in our community because of his story. And Mayor Kathy Clark said, you need to talk to this guy.
Yeah.
You guys need to connect.
Yeah.
And so she connected us last night, and we got talking, and we're just lighting up. I mean, we're both getting excited. We're both getting passionate. And so we said, okay, we're going to work together, and we're going to make this one of the biggest events in our community for sure. But I want to grow it to one of the largest in the state. And last night's conversation was fun. It actually even grew so much so that we said we could even travel state to state and encourage people who have the same passion to create this kind of an event in their state and to serve the kids in their state. And so it kind of became this big out of the box moment of we could really go huge with this concept and this idea for families to be together for the holiday in a unique way. And it's all community driven. You don't have to put a ton of money behind it because the community comes behind wanting to serve the kids. And that's been really cool.
Wow, I love that. You're truly bringing, I mean, multiple, counties together. I mean, that's amazing. And before we close up, I would love to hear you share to business owners that are listening that don't know where to start and how to incorporate supporting a nonprofit with their business.
Yeah.
Do you have any advice on the first step to take?
So the first step I took was really just getting involved. There are so many nonprofits, there's so many organizations, especially here in our community. It's hard to know, where should I support?
Yeah.
Where should I put my dollars? I don't have a ton of them, so where should they go? Well, you don't know what you don't know unless you get involved.
Right. Yeah.
And so there are so many events happening in our community that are free, so many networking opportunities that are free, or you can be a guest of somebody for a couple of times to be connected or get connected to people. And then you can hear their stories, you can hear what they're doing. And when there's one that you say, okay, that really aligns with my life or my vision or my story, then you know that's the one I want to get connected with.
Yeah.
But it
great.
starts with taking a step to get connected. So many businesses, I was talking about this during lunch today, so many businesses start their business and their whole focus is, I've got to grow this, and they just dig in and they don't leave their business. But business happens through relationship. Business happens through community. And doing things like this, how you and I connected was not at my restaurant. It was, we were at an event. We met each other out doing something that didn't relate to us at all. And that grew a relationship, which then grew business. And so my recommendation to anybody who starts a business is you need to get connected, whether it's a networking group, whether it's through a greeters meeting, or you're going to a free luncheon to learn about something. You're going to meet people. You're going to find those who have a common interest or goals or that align with you. That's where growth and growth and growth happen, is through community.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for being here. It's so inspiring to hear from you, and I'm just excited for everybody to hear all
Thank you
these
so much.
nuggets. So
It's been so fun to be here, Jordan.